Welcome back to another episode of the Christian Kirkley Show, and today we're going to be talking about how to increase your savings rate by 25%. You know what they say, it's not always about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Someone that makes $1 million a year but spends $1.5 million, they're going to be in a bad spot. They might make a lot of money, but they're not keeping a lot. Versus somebody that makes $50,000 a year and only keeps $5,000, their savings rate would be about 10%. That's not awful. It's a little bit above the average, which is like 3%, but $5,000 saved every year isn't going to make you wealthy by any means. If you invest that money, it can make you self-sufficient whenever you retire. That could probably end up being around $1 million if you invest whenever you're in your early 20s. But today I'm going to be talking about why it's really important to increase your income to increase your savings rate. Here's how that works. You can only save so much money. So you can only reduce so much, you can only cut down so much, and you really start getting into the scarcity mindset if you're constantly thinking, how can I save, clipping coupons, drive an extra 20 minutes, 15 minutes to get $1 off on gas, maybe even 15 cents, right? That's probably how a lot of us were raised, and we saw people living like that. Really what you should be thinking about is not all the time, how can I save? How can I make more money? It's so much more scalable to increase your income. And this does tie into your savings rate. I'll give you an example. Let's say you make $50,000 a year and your savings rate right now is 20%. You're doing really well. You save $10,000 a year. You tuck it away for retirement. You put it in the bank. That's really good. Well, what you can really do is if you go from $50,000 a year and let's say you get a side hustle, on the weekends you start maybe flipping cars, you start making arts and crafts. My aunt, what she did, she actually goes to estate sales. She's a full-time nurse, her and her husband. They go to estate sales and they buy things from these estate sales for dirt cheap, and then they go and they sell these items at like little flea market type things, and they double or triple their money. Let's say they make $500 on a weekend profit, right? Well, they take that $500 and they're savers. So if you save that money, $500 a weekend, that's $2,000 a month. Well, you take your savings rate from, let's say you're saving $10,000 a year. Now you're saving an additional $2,000 a month. 2,000 times 12, they're saving an additional $24,000 a year, right? So they've increased their savings rate in that example, right? Let's say someone did something like that. They made $50,000. They saved $10,000 a year. Well, now they've increased their savings rate. That'd be around like 25, 35%. So it's not always about, how much can I cut back? You want to cut back, but you also don't want to nitpick yourself. Look, people spend the most money on 3 things in America: housing, transportation, and food. And you can only cut back on so much. If you really want to get good at saving money and you really care about being wealthy, and you don't have like a bunch of kids or anything like that, you could always house hack. You could rent out rooms. You can downsize. A lot of y'all out there are living in $2,000 a month luxury apartments while like working a job where you're barely scraping by. It's just silly. And then you go and you complain on the internet about the economy. No, the economy has its ups and downs like it always will, but you're just bad with your money. Do better. Like, you can always cut back, but the easiest way to increase your savings rate is increasing your income. And I've given you examples. Think about, what am I good at? What can I do to make more money today? Start small. Don't go into debt to try to get a side hustle. Go on Facebook Marketplace and maybe look at something that's for sale, buy that, flip it. You can go. They used to be able to go on Craigslist. Now they have something called TaskRabbit. You can go Instacart. You can do Uber Eats every day after work for an hour and make an extra $20 a day. These things add up. There's something called the time value of money. Over time, let's just think of the rule of 72, right? So the rule of 72 is at 7%, your money is going to double every 10 years. So if you have $10,000 and you tuck that away, let's say you have a 3-year-old, And by the time that 3-year-old is 13, this is their college fund, that $10,000 will have doubled at 7%, which is a little bit below the market average. So now that $10,000 is $20,000 after 10 years. Well, 10 years from then, that $20,000 is going to now be $40,000. Right, so you got to keep these mental models in your brain. A really good person to look into is Charlie Munger. He talks a lot about mental models. Poor Charlie's Almanac, he has a lot of really good stuff in there. An excellent book on savings rates, and financial freedom is by Grant Sabatier. It's actually called Financial Freedom. Excellent book. But you want to figure out what your savings rate is today. You want to increase that savings rate, let's just say by 1% a month. So if you're like most Americans and you're only saving about 5% a year, right? Let's say you make $50,000. At the end of the year, you've saved, that'd be about $2,500, I believe, 5%. Yeah, which is probably a lot more than most people, actually, unfortunately. Okay, cool. I'm saving $2,500 a year. That'd be around $250 a month, give or take. How can I save $300 next month? Okay, cool. The month after that, how can I save $350, $400? And maybe it's eating out one night a week less or whatever, but really, you don't even have to sacrifice all that stuff if you think, how can I increase my income? Just think about it like this. If you flip one house, right, for 10, 20K, or you make a couple $1,000s on a stock trade, well, you've just covered your coffee, your movie nights, all these other things that you like and you enjoy that you don't necessarily have to cut out. Like, think about some of the wealthiest people in the world. They still have fun. They still do their entertainment and things like that. Remember that most of your expenses come from 3 areas: housing, food, and transportation. Stop buying new cars. Buy used. I know I got a buddy, Josh. He makes $120 a year, and he drives a 2013 Toyota Prius. And whenever his old one broke down, he bought another one used for like $5K. So that $30K or $40K he saved on a car, with all the interest and everything like that, he's maxing out his retirement accounts, and he's going to be able to retire in his early 30s, versus the people driving the brand new SUVs and trucks and everything like that. They're going to be working probably until their 60s. And that's something I learned the hard way. Like, I bought a new vehicle whenever I was like 22. I didn't really know a whole lot back then. I still don't, but now I know that the next vehicle I buy is going to be used, and it's going to be cheap, and I'm going to invest the difference. Because if I can buy something with cash and save a $500 a month car payment and invest that in the market, that's going to be millions and millions of dollars down the road. It could be me paying off a rental property early, which is going to equal your financial freedom. So you gotta have financial freedom in the back of your mind whenever you're making these decisions, right? So figure out your savings rate. Start saving 1% a month. Figure out, how can I cut back on the 3 big areas. Don't nitpick yourself. Another way you can cut back on one of the 3 big areas: food. Start cooking at home more. At least just start tracking how much you are spending out and about. Buy in bulk. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got today. Check out that book. It's really good. Grant Sabatier's Financial Freedom. Excellent book. And I hope you all have a good one. Don't forget to enlighten and empower. Let's go.